Boom! Got my cigarette lit before the show. I'm doing better. I'm getting good. Hey everybody. So since I brought back D&D recaps for the very public spanking game and another game that I will be playing in the future that I've been talking in Xavier into doing live on his channel, because I'm like, hey, people like live D&D shit. It's popular for fucking some reason. It's in that category of wrestling, like with wrestling, where it's like, really, this is popular. People like watching this. Okay, whatever. I don't care. So I decided there's also a lot of stories that I've told through D&D recaps in the past that are no longer with us because, you know, I have an uncanny ability to pick fights with the wrong people on YouTube and my channels get flagged the fuck down. Like, I do good at that. That is picking wrong fucking fights. So I decided I should retell some of the more interesting and funnier and humiliating stories. There's one that's all three of those, but that's not the story we're dealing with today. We're dealing with a great story, the Death Knell story. It is one of the more, it's probably up there. This is probably the second best D&D fucking story I have. The Were-Rat story being the best D&D story I have, so, but we will have to wait for that. We are talking about Death Knell, and be great because hindsight is 2020, and I can offer a moral lesson to people who are wanting to play Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons or any role-playing game, really. And the moral of this story, I'm going to do this in reverse. I'm going to tell you the moral up front so you can see how I fucked up. The moral of the story to the Death Knell story is always be sure of what your abilities do. Always be sure, because your DM might not always be right. So we get into the meat of this story. The principal characters are, of course, myself. I was at the time playing a necromancer who I was filling around with a bunch of different stuff because he wasn't like a super optimized necromancer. Like, I know I have a bit of a reputation as a min-maxer, but like, I like experimenting, and that's where my min-maxing comes from. It's like, I like experimenting with different builds, different weird things, and then when I find something that works really good, I fucking refine that. That's where the fucking Elijah build from fucking the very public spanking game comes from me playing like a fucking vivisection necromancer in like 8 different fucking games and just iron out all of the fucking kinks with that build. Like, I'm intentionally min-maxing it. I'm more like, oh, this works, this combines well with this, like, and fucking rogues too, because I really like experimenting with rogue builds, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about my weird necromancer build. So I was experimenting with 2 things with this character. I was experimenting with trying to be a non-evil necromancer, not necessarily a white necromancer, a good necromancer. I still wanted the ability to, you know, do all the evil shit that a necromancer could do, but not be evil. Like, not be necessarily tied down to that. Just be more kind of, if I remember right, I was neutral, and I was like, look, evil, like, the undead are just fucking tools. Like, fuck them. Like, it's like using an ox to pull a wagon, but it's a zombie. So I was more of like a gray Jedi necromancer. And the other thing I was experimenting with were the dragon feats from I can't remember which book, because there's like a fucking a ton. We were using 3.5 in this game, so because I don't think Pathfinder was out when we were playing this game with Dixie, who is the next principal character. Dixie Comic, he was the DM. Devious as fuck, stern but fair though. Like, like he's one of those DMs. Like you might come, like if you play a game with him, you might get the impression that he's a bad DM because like he doesn't pull fucking punches. Like if you fuck up, he's gonna let you keep fucking up, and he's not gonna warn you until like you're fucking just surrounded by 1,000 fucking orcs, and you're just like, well, mistakes have been made. So I've been talking so long, my cigarette went out. 1 second. So I was experimenting around with the dragon feats that basically turn your character into a low tier half dragon that you can use spells to power off like different draconic abilities and stuff. So I had those two things. We also had CJ Cobra Jones, who is currently You Had Me at Hayak. He was a cleric of Paylor who was the only fucking character not to fucking. He was the only person to make it 100% of the way through Dixie's fucking game without fucking dying. It was impeccable. Like his fucking cleric of Paylor. You had Rob, formerly Cardinal Virtues, who is no longer with us because he fucked up. So he was a warlock, I believe. He played like Rob really liked his warlocks. I think he was a warlock, maybe a wizard, maybe a rogue. I can't really because me and Rob died a lot. That might be another fucking story I end up telling, is just the horrific game of death me and Rob were just playing in Dixie's game for like 4 fucking months straight. Like me and Rob for some reason just started fucking going after each other's fucking characters and getting each of them killed. So we just had this fucking progressive line of like, he'd get one of my characters killed, I'd get one of his fucking characters killed. So I don't think he was the kobold yet. He might have been the kobold. I can't remember. So we had Rob, we had Silver Arrow. You might best remember him from the Warm Beef porn parody he wrote about Brett Keane going through time and space to have sex with Pat Condell and Thunderfoot and various other awful fucking YouTubers. He also did the Thunderfoot porn page that Thunderfoot went off on a fucking moral high fag and fucking rant about, like, porn page of me. But we're not talking about that thick-necked fucking goon in this video. You want to see me talk about that thick-necked fucking goon? Go watch the Thunderfoot versus Cigar, fucking that video. Go watch that video. The name of. So those are the principal players in our little morality tale here. So where we were exactly in this adventure, I know, like, might be another fucking story to tell, is like the 3 fucking brothers we were working for. Basically to set up a picture of the world, we were in a kingdom that there was a massive power struggle between 3 brothers. The eldest was on the throne. The middle one was leading like a good resistance. And then the youngest one was just an utter fucking sadist, torturous, monstrous fucking prick. And we ended up fucking working for all of them. We ended up fucking up. I don't want to waste that fucking story. I don't want to waste that story. We got to talk about Death Knell. So I believe we were working for the older brother at this point, the one on the throne, because this seems like something like a authority figure would do, not someone who's running a resistance group or a criminal underground. Maybe a resistance group. So basically, we were tasked to go out because there was wyverns. There were some wyverns, and they were fucking up shit. And there's also evidence that like there might be a black dragon somewhere in the hood, because there's also like extensive acid damage and shit. So we were like, okay, we know what to do. We roll in there. we fucking kill the wyverns, and maybe make a deal with the fucking... That was basically our original plan. Our original plan was go in there, kill the wyverns, and then try to make a deal with the black dragon. Because dragons are intelligent. You can work with them. So we were basically like the fuck CJ as the cleric of Palor was kind of not down for that, but like me and Rob managed to convince him. It's like, hey, it's better to placate the fucking dragon so it's not just murdering fucking people. And like we're still killing the fucking wyverns who like they're like wyverns aren't fucking dumb. They're not animals, but at the same time, they're not on the same level of intelligence as a human or a dragon. Like they're probably on the same intelligence level as like an orc, maybe a little smarter than an orc. So that like wyverns are about as smart as like tribalistic humanoids and monstrous humanoids and shit like that. So we were like, we're probably not going to be able to convince the wyverns because they're destructive fucking pricks who only care about power and whatever. So we have our plan. We go marching in, and this cave is just it's a classic fucking black dragon lair. It's just filled to the fucking brim with half-rotted corpses and skeletons of every shape, size, and species. It's a fucking hellhole, and it gets even fucking worse when we find out the wyvern is a female wyvern, and she has just recently given birth to a clutch of eggs that have recently hatched. That's right. The black dragon isn't necessarily using the wyvern as muscle like we had suspected. We thought there was a group of wyverns, but no, the black dragon and the wyvern were actually lovers, and the black dragon had, impregnated the wyvern and had fucking half black, half wyvern offspring, which not good. It's not good. So our plan gets immediately thrown out the fucking window. So we're just like, so what should we do? So I was like, okay, let me see. What spells do I have? It's like, oh, I have Death Knell. Okay, I got an idea. Guys. So like we're looking around in the nest because the wyvern hasn't seen us yet. It's asleep. So and we're like, okay, we find like a half dead animal. Like it's not fully dead yet. It's like fresh prey. So I'm like, okay, I have an idea. I can fucking use Death Knell to make myself stronger, so I can hit that fucking wyvern with a Ray of Enfeeblement, and that'll make it's just so much easier to fucking deal with. And we don't have to kill the babies, because basically we were like, okay, new plan, maybe we kill the mommy and leave the babies, and we use the babies as a bargaining chip against the black dragon, because the black, like, chaotic evil, they're chaotic evil, but at the same time, a black dragon would still probably recognize the usefulness of having two half black dragon, half wyvern offspring at its disposal. Like it would probably recognize the value of that, and it would be pissed, but it would most assuredly eventually come back to get us for purposes. But we were like, you know what? That'll probably come at a later level, and we'll be more fucking ready to fucking deal with it. Like, we were not super high. I think we were like fifth. We were like fifth level, and we were like, we could barely take on wyvern, like, as a group of fucking four. Like, there's no way we could take on a wyvern and a fucking black dragon that is old enough to fucking mate. That ain't fucking happening. We need to be smart about this. We need to use the dragon's intelligence against it. We need to use its fucking cunning against it. However, things start going horrifically wrong. So I wasn't familiar with the spell Death Knell, and neither was Dixie. So Dixie thought Death Knell was an area of effect spell. So when I go and hit the fucking dying prey, with Death Knell, guess what fucking happens? The little baby wyverns fucking die because they're so fucking weak. They just get killed by my fucking my necromantic energies, and I'm just like, no, no, this is horrible. Oh fuck! I just immediately start fucking screaming, and then like just the fact that there's a bunch of necromantic energy and fucking the death cries of her fucking babies, and the fucking goddamn necromancer who's screaming like, I don't know what's fucking happening right now. Like the wyvern wakes up. It's fucking pissed. Luckily, though, we managed to fucking, a well-placed fucking Ray of Enfeeblement and some good old bashes from fucking Silver Era. Like that wyvern went down pretty quick. But assessing the situation, we had a dead dragon's lover. We had the lover of a black dragon, a wyvern, who was now dead. We had their offspring, who are now dead. Just everything was awful. So we did the smartest thing. We ran. We ran like fucking cowards. And as we were making our way back to the village, we hear a roar, just anger. We don't even hear it. We just feel it, we taste it, we smell it. That's how fucking angry this black dragon fucking was, that we killed its fucking goddamn lover and its fucking babies. So we're terrified because we're in the middle of an open fucking field. Forest. This isn't something like we're in the middle of a fucking field, like, because from what I remember, there was basically like a field, and then it kind of sloped down, and that was where like this like rocky, hilly, swampy region was, where the wyvern and the fucking black dragon were located. So we just basically lay on the fucking ground. We're like, we can't fight the black dragon. We can't do that. Like we took a big amount of damage fighting the fucking wyvern, even though we managed to fucking kill it. Like, it still did a lot of damage. I was out of fucking spells. Like, fucking, we were just like, oh, CJ can fucking heal us, but that's just stalling the fucking inevitable. One of us is gonna die if this fucking dragon sees us. So again, we just all immediately lay on the ground and just as still as we fucking possibly could, and the dragon just flies right past us. And we get up and we look into the distance and we see the dragon heading immediately for the fucking town, and we're just like, well, that sucks. But you know what? We weren't tasked to kill a black dragon. We were just tasked to kill a wyvern, which we did. And the king was not happy about like that. But at the same time, it's like, hey, king, it's written down here in fucking ink. Like, you didn't tell us about the black dragon. Like, there were maybe possible hints of the black dragon, but we were not meant to deal with the black dragon. You just told us to deal with the wyvern. It's not our fault that fucking town got fucking vaporized. So, the moral. Why is this the story? So, as the game was winding down, I was like, let me look at Death Knell again, because I remember reading the actual ability of Death Knell. I remember reading that, but I didn't remember reading like the effect and the duration and stuff. Like, so I was like, okay, I must have skimmed over that part. Let me look. And yeah, it fucking turns out Death Knell is a touch spell, which means you can only affect one fucking creature at a time using Death Knell. So all that event should not have happened. Basically, me and Dixon came to a compromise where it's like, well, there's so much death and destruction there. Basically, Death Knell was empowered. It was super Death Knell basically in that region. But yeah, like, always make sure you know everything about your abilities, because it will fuck you. It will fuck you. And to be fair, like, this doesn't seem like it fucked us too bad, but like, I'll get into that story if I ever talk about the three brothers, but like, It was one. It was another fucking stone in the road to fucking our ruined relationship with the king. Just we were not the most competent servants under the king of that country. I'll just say that. But that's the Death Knell story. It's funny because of just the hubris and just not double checking. Like the second Dixie said that, I should have been like, wait 1 second, let me make sure that's how Death Knell works. But I didn't. I didn't. I was like, you know what? Dixie's the DM. He knows. That's like when you're a DM. Like you're supposed to know everything about the game. No, not really. Like DMs fuck up. DMs are just people. I think that's it for this video. So I will see you next time. Dooba da dee, da ba da da. Bye bye.